Right, welcome to the tutorial commentary I'm going to do on the interactive tutorial on atomic structure. I've not done the first few pages, which we're talking about things like wavelength and frequency. Interesting, you should definitely review those pages yourself. I don't intend to go through every nook and cranny of these tutorials. It's up to you to go through them yourself, as I've said before. But for now, we're going to have a look at the subatomic particles, at least those that are relevant to chemistry. So here's the first question. There's a number of possible answers here, so we'll just pick on one random. And I'm claiming there that protons, neutrons and electrons are found in all atoms. If I click on check, I'll discover that's wrong. There's hydrogen, in fact there's no neutrons. At least the form of hydrogen that is the most simple isotope hasn't. I'm going to come back and talk about isotopes a bit later on. Okay, so I'm going to have another go with this one, based on the fact that we know that hydrogen doesn't contain any neutrons. But it does contain a proton and an electron, so that was the right answer there. Right, now what this thing here is essentially it's a table. What it's really asking you to is describe the subatomic particles, protons, neutrons and electrons, which are the ones that matter to chemistry. You can drill deeper down into these and find exotic particles like quarks and whatnot, but they're not particularly relevant to chemistry. So what it's saying here is what are the relative masses and what are the relative charges. We start off an easy one. We know the neutron is neutral. It doesn't have a charge, so if we put in there, it says yes, the neutron has no charge. You may also know it as a mass of around 1. Its mass is actually a little bit bigger than the mass of a proton plus an electron, but we're going to call it 1 in this particular example. Okay, so let's have a think about the electron. We know the electron is negatively charged, so that's going to put the negative in there. What's its mass? It's a lot lighter than either the proton and the neutron, so that number looks like it is in fact about 1/1800th of that of the proton, which leaves proton behind. Its relative mass is therefore is about 1. It's actually a bit less than that of the neutron, but for simplicity's sake here. And its charge therefore is 1. So okay, I've done that in the table, but in a short answer exam question, you might be asked to describe the differences between the main subatomic particles, and you would talk about them in terms of their mass, their charge, and also something I haven't done here, which is their location in the atom. So you would find the protons and neutrons in the nucleus, orbited in the Bohr model at least by electrons. Right, okay, I agonised over the word here. There are 3 different versions of the hydrogen atom. What is the scientific term for such versions? And sketch them as Bohr models and check your answer on the next page. So, as usual in these things, pause the video, get your pen and paper out and have a little sort of run through what you think the answer is. Right, okay, moving on, we'll have a look at the answer. These are in fact what are called isotopes. Atoms of the same element with different numbers of neutrons. Remember we saw a couple of pages back, neutrons are found in the nucleus along with protons. In this case, these 3 Bohr models are all of isotopes of hydrogen. The first one here is normal hydrogen, which contains 1 proton and 1 electron. The next one along, which is called deuterium, has an extra neutron, giving it an atomic mass of 2, whereas this one has an atomic mass of 1. And notice it's still only got 1 electron. Now the third one here is tritium, which contains again a single proton, so we know it's hydrogen, plus a couple of neutrons, and again only 1 electron. This takes us back to how we define elements. We define elements based on their atomic number, that is to say the number of protons they have. In this case, hydrogen has 1 proton, whether it's hydrogen, deuterium or tritium. We don't base it on electrons for the reason I've given there. I've given an example of sodium, which could lose an electron to become a sodium ion. You could also say chlorine, which could gain an electron to become Cl negative, chloride ion. So the number of electrons can vary, but the number of protons is invariant. And if you look at the periodic table, which you will of course be able to take in the exam, we'll make it a bit bigger. We'll see up in this corner we have the atomic number. The atomic number of hydrogen there, the atomic number for lithium there. In both cases, and in fact all these cases, there's another one, chromium there, 24, it is the number of protons in the nucleus. Okay, moving on. Okay, that's asking you to specifically define atomic number and atomic weight. We'll go back to the periodic table briefly. So again, that's the atomic number. This, of course, is a symbol, and this is the atomic weight. The question is how you define it. Now, we've said you get the atomic weight, atomic number rather, from the number of protons in the nucleus. So have a little think about how then we would get the atomic weight, and also give their correct symbols, which I must admit I always mix up. So have a little think about that. And we're sort of back now, so I'm going to move on. We'll check the answers. So atomic number, the number of protons in the nucleus, and it's called Z. Between American Z. The atomic mass is where you add everything together, so you add the protons, neutrons and electrons together to get a number which is the atomic mass. Okay, and that's called A, which is quite easy to remember actually. I don't quite know why. Not difficult remembering that. Okay, this is a notation which is quite useful, and again it's a sort of how we do it in the periodic table but arranged slightly differently. This is helium. Its atomic number is 2, and its atomic weight, or its atomic mass, is 4. And I've asked you there to find this, define the symbols in this terminology for oxygen, carbon and nitrogen. So have a little think about that, and we'll come back to the answer. Okay, and before we look at the answer, we'll have a look at the periodic table. Again, nice, let's drag that over here. Oops. There's the three elements we talked about: carbon, nitrogen and oxygen. Again with the atomic number up the top and the atomic weight down the bottom of the little cell. So what we've done here is slightly rearrange that notation so it now looks like this. Oh, sorry, I need the answer there. There's the answer there. So carbon, atomic number 6, and its atomic weight is 12. Nitrogen 7, atomic number 14, and oxygen 8, atomic number 16. I say, just make sure you are well aware that this, the lower number is the atomic number, which refers to the number of protons in the nucleus, and the upper number is the atomic weight, which is the quantity you get from adding the protons, the mass of the protons, the mass of the electrons, and the mass of any neutrons that are present. Okay, isotopes of carbon. Now we mentioned isotopes a little while back in the context of hydrogen, saying this is a hydrogen atom which has a different number of neutrons, therefore making a different isotope. It's still hydrogen because it's got a single proton in the nucleus and a single electron, so it has very similar chemical properties. This is carbon. Carbon has 3 isotopes. Carbon 12, which is the most common one. Nearly 99% of it is in that form. Then there's carbon 13, about 1%, and carbon 14, which is only a little bit in the world. But it's still quite significant, and as you may well be aware, its radioactive decay is used to date archaeological remains, for example. And the question I'm asking here is, why is carbon 12 a whole number? If you do the sum in the notes to come up with the atomic mass of carbon, you'll find it doesn't work out as a whole number. It's because carbon 12 has been defined as weighing exactly 12.000. This is somewhat arbitrary, but the idea was that something had to be defined as a standard which against all other things can be defined. All other things can effectively be weighed. So it's an element or a compound where it's got a molar mass or an atomic mass. It is based on the relative weight compared to carbon. Carbon 12, that is. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. Okay, this is just describing the process which allows you to come to the atomic masses that you see here. We talked about carbon 12 being a whole number, carbon 13 being a whole number, but that's not a whole number. It's 12.0107, which is effectively factoring in the atomic weights and the relative abundances of the 3 carbon isotopes. Let's go back and have a little look at the isotopes here again. Remind ourselves there's nearly 99% of that, 1.07% of that, and a little bit of carbon 14. So what we do is basically sum them up. We take the first one, carbon 12, and multiply that's relative abundance and divide it by 100 to get a percentage. Do the same for carbon 13 and the same for carbon 14, add them all together and you'll come up with a final figure for the atomic mass of carbon, which is 12.0107, which we check in our periodic table. Here's what you see there. So these numbers aren't arbitrary. They are based in effect on the relative abundance of the different isotopes of the various elements. Look at the mole, a small furry animal, also a way of measuring substance. There's a little sort of definition thing here, which I'll just fill in the various bits and pieces, and then we'll talk about it. Substance fits in there. I think you can guess that it's got the biggest one. Mole is the thing we're trying to find the definition of. There's 12 over there, which, if you remember where you said everything was based on carbon 12, that probably goes in there. And that's effectively 12 grams. I'll put it in kilograms, but it's actually 12 grams, isn't it? So the mole is the amount of substance of a system which contains as many elementary entities as there are atoms in a kilogram of carbon 12. And I haven't mentioned this here, but this is the famous Avogadro's number, 6.023 times 10 to the 23. So a mole of carbon atom, which weighs 12 grams, contains 6.023 times 10 to the 23 atoms of carbon. Now, however many moles you have of whether it's an element or a substance, it will contain Avogadro's number. So you might have a mole of hydrogen or a mole of uranium, and in both cases they will both contain 6.023 times 10 to the 23 atoms of hydrogen and uranium respectively. We use this to for our system of measuring substance, not just in context of elements, but also more interesting in the context of compounds. An example here of how we add things together. I'll go through this fairly quickly because we are sort of getting up to the 15-minute YouTube limit thing. So pause if you want to have a read of that. And here's some examples of some ones you can try. Glucose, simple sugar, alanine, an amino acid, and adenosine triphosphate. So pause your video and have a go at summing up the atomic masses to work out the molecular masses. Right, okay, moving on. There, I've added them up. Glucose about 180, alanine about 89, and ATP, quite a big molecule, about 507. That's how I did it. In terms of the ATP one, I just basically did an Excel spreadsheet. There's carbon, there's 10 atoms of carbon, its atomic mass is that. Multiply them together and then sum them all up together. Right, okay, that's as much as I want to say on this particular tutorial. I'll be back in a bit with another one.